Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up.
What is today, Chandler? Wednesday? That's the first question. You didn't have it. Where's the animation?
You gotta tell me where we're going with these intros.
Read the script. Run it back. FanDuel TV is where we are on a beautiful Wednesday morning, bright and early. We're just confused because the animation, it has to be tweaked.
Confused, among other things, whatever you're confused. But
we
the
learn
animation, yeah, I think they're taking out LeBron, they're taking out Giannis.
Yeah, you gotta take dudes out.
Some edits.
Who are they gonna add? Anthony Edwards?
Gotta add
a Thunder.
SGA.
Yeah, you gotta add a Thunder. Because that looks like we're gonna have that for a Western Conference Finals. But anywho, we've got things to talk about. Let's join our friends.
There they are.
There they are. Lou, Will, Charania joining us from abroad. Guys, we had a couple games last night.
They're humble abodes.
They're humble abodes. Castles in the sky. They weren't the best of
Let's say I'm in Atlanta.
Whatever, you call it whatever you want. We're going to start with Mavericks at Thunder, the later game of the two. Man, all the doubt we might have had about some teams, I think it's gone. Thunder for real, 1-0. SGA had his 29, 9, and 9 assists. Jaylen Williams, he was 10 of 18 in the third quarter. 10 of his 18 points were in the third quarter, I should say. Luka, a weird night for Luka with the 19 points, 6 of 19. That's an odd one. So we'll start with SGA here. There are some good names in this series, but is he the best player?
He damn sure was last night. And with his size and his ability to create, they can't put Kyrie Irving on him because he's too small, right? So I think the Mavs' best bet is to have, a Derrick Jones, someone with length on him that can at least make it more difficult. Because when he gets in the paint and he basically backs these smaller guards down, he's a mismatch nightmare. Then you go to a PJ Washington where he's too quick and he's got to play back on him and he can shoot the three ball. His finishing last night was insane. When he's knocking down shots like this, he's one of the tougher guards in the NBA to guard. And obviously Luka is Luka, but yeah, SGA is, we're going to find out tonight, is either the MVP or the runner-up of MVP, most likely. So it's hard to not say he's not the best player, but you got to give Luka his flowers as well. But last night, it wasn't even close.
It's kind of crazy that these teams are for real. Lou, what did you think watching this series, this first game?
Listen, I'm doubling down on something I've been saying all year. On this great day of the 8th, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be named the MVP later on today. I'm doubling down on my stance. I'm doubling down on my take. And this game helps prove my point. He's been one of the best players in the game. His impact has been huge for this basketball team. Granted, they have a lot of young guys that's putting numbers on the board that's having a positive impact on his basketball team. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player on that team. He's the best player in this series. Last night was a great indicator of things to come, and I got him as my MVP. So that's my opinion. I think he's the best player, not by far in this series, but he's up there. He's the number one guy.
It was like a real
Shout
mystery.
out Lou Will, because he called SGA in training camp that he was going to be the MVP.
October.
So hell of a pick, Lou.
Yeah, it's not done yet. But
still, the fact that he's one of the two.
I'm top two at least.
You are top two at
Top
least.
two at least.
Yeah, and you didn't go with like an easy pick.
And you were listening to Shabuzi yesterday and getting your country music.
Yeah,
on,
and we will get to
You
that.
see that? You like that?
No.
I'm big on Lou Will this morning.
No, I didn't like it, and we will get to that a little bit later on in the show. Shams, other than the crowd just being all bought in, and I love that they all sported their T-shirts, what was your big takeaway?
I mean, Luka Doncic, this is another series where we saw it against the Clippers. He got off to a slow start in that series as well, 6 of 19 last night, 1 of 8 from 3. And in the past series, you saw him elevate his game, but also the others around Luka Doncic stepped up. So I don't know if it's just the first game jitters. The Mavs as a whole, as a franchise, they've lost 5 game ones in a row over the last few seasons. So having another game to kind of feel out Oklahoma City, and we'll see how they go into game 2, but they're going to need other players to step up. PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, like those guys will have to take another step, but it starts with Luka Doncic. And how can he step up? Because there were times where some of the shots that he was taking, the shot attempts were a little off, obviously, shot selection, but seeing him take his game, he's got to come to this series at a really high level, especially if they're going to beat Oklahoma City. And another fellow MVP finalist in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
It's kind of crazy. Look, 19 is tied for his second fewest points in a playoff game. After the game, a lot of questions to answer. One of them about his knee. Here he is.
Who cares? We lost. We just got to move on to the next one. Got to be better. We got to be better.
What? That was quick. What?
No, it's funny because we didn't know they were going to pay it back to
Yeah, because we're like, what?
I mean, listen, when you watch him physically, it doesn't look like he did in the first series, but that's no excuse. It also credit Oklahoma City Thunder. Lou Dort is a very good defender, and then they have guys like Cason Wallace, who we haven't even talked about much, the 10th pick of the draft. He is a great long defender, so they just basically took turns, giving him different looks. And again, it's not like he did anything different last night. He took these long step back threes that he usually makes, and we usually praise him for those shots. So when he has an off night like this, you just almost have to credit the defense. Credit maybe he's banged up. He didn't have the lift that he usually does. His knees clearly bothering him the way he was, hobbling around. But again, everyone's going through that. Every team has went through an injury, whether it's Kawhi or Joel or Jimmy Butler. Every star player has been banged up, so that we can't point to that the one time he has an off shooting night. Those are the shots that he always takes. I think you can just credit Oklahoma. They made it difficult on him. They put smaller guys on him, stronger guys, bigger guys, and I think that once his shot wasn't falling, he does have to do things differently. He's got to adapt. He's got to get other guys involved because the Mavs are very good offensively, but when they're all struggling like this, Kyrie showed flashes a little bit in the second half last night, but when everybody's struggling, they have the capability to defend, but they're not that team that like the Minnesota Timberwolves that can hang their hat on the defensive end. So when everybody has an off night offensively, it's tough for this team to win.
8 fewer points last night than he's had basically averaged in his last 5. And I do appreciate that he didn't try to make an excuse of the injury because like you said, and everybody's hurt. If they're even playing at this point, or you're just hobbled. Lou, are you happy with his answer? Do you think he'll figure something out between games 1 and 2?
Yeah, that's what you want to hear from your leaders in a group. My picture is killing me because it's like crooked. I feel it's throwing me out.
It's killing me too, Lou. It's killing me too.
I'll take it down at the break. But this is what you want to hear. He hadn't made any excuses for himself. Hadn't made any excuses for the team. They got down early. This Oklahoma City team had a lot of motivation playing on their home floor, and they play like it. And we've always talked about who they are on the defensive end. This team takes pride in stopping guys that can put numbers on the board. They take pride in getting stops, take pride in playing defense at a high level. Luka Doncic was a victim of that. I'm sure he'll make his adjustments and come back and be ready for game 2. But, like you mentioned at the top of the show, Michelle, this Oklahoma City team is real. All doubt is off the table about them and what they're able to do on the defensive end and offensive end. And Luka's running into that, and I'm sure he'll make adjustments, and Kyrie will be better. And this is going to be an exciting series for games to come. But game 1, it was all OKC.
And he was 1 for 8 from the 3-point line. That doesn't happen often. But again, these shots he's taken, they're low percent shots, but he usually makes these. And once he gets going, he makes 1 or 2. That's when you see the onslaught of his offensive firepower kind of explode. But where's Tim Hardaway Jr.? This guy, he was so important to their team last year that I know he's banged up, he was hurt, he was in and out of the lineup, but now he was that guy that was kind of their third guy, and ever since the PJ Washington move and other moves, that he's just kind of taken that role just so much smaller and smaller, where he's going to be one of those guys that are going to get wide open shots the way that they guard Kyrie, the way they guard Luka, Josh Green, Tim Hardaway Jr. These are the guys that are going to get open looks, and they have to knock him down.
Let's talk bench a little bit, because that Thunder bench outscored the Mavs bench 42-23. Are they that much deeper a team?
It's crazy because I didn't think they were going to go that deep. Like, most teams shorten their rotations in the playoffs. You look at Tibbs, look at the Knicks, they play 7 guys. Like, they're playing Cason Wallace, Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and all of them, the other Jalen Williams, by the way, who's a solid player who could step out, hit a 3 last night. I love Isaiah Joe. I think he's a valuable player that one of the other teams that, like a Clippers or a Suns team could really look at a guy like him where he can stretch the floor, he can space. But yeah, look at this. Look at this setup. They're all inexpensive. They're all hardworking. They all play defense too. A lot of teams, when they're this young, all they want to do is score points and want to shoot threes. This team is all bought in. They're all on the same page, and it's crazy just the rotations and how deep they can go with the youth that they have is not normal.
That was a crazy graphic, by the way. Can we talk a little Jaylen Williams here? Because he had 10 in the third. Kyrie and Luka combined to score 7 in the fourth. And I think a lot of times when you have young teams like this, we're wondering, how are they going to come out? Are they going to be nervous? Are they going to do things they don't normally do? 23 years old, did not seem bothered.
No, an absolute dog, and it's crazy because the announcer during the game was talking about how he's only had 10 points, he's struggling, and he just went nuts. He faces you up. He's got such a good handle and just like a shift to his game. He finishes, he's strong. He's a mismatch nightmare, and he's on his way to absolute stardom. And all year long, he's been great in the fourth quarter, which is unbelievable for a guy like SGA, who's clearly their best player. He's their guy. But when you have a guy that can relieve pressure, that can put the ball in his hands, make plays, make guys around him better, but also go get you a bucket, it does wonders for SGA's game and for this team's game. So Jalen Williams, watching him play, I don't even know who to compare him to because he's so smooth, he can shoot, he's strong. Look at that. It's an insane finger roll off the glass. This just finishing off the opposite foot. Like, the kid can do it, can do it all. And he makes big plays, and he's always kind of that guy when a team starts making a run and a team starts getting, some easy buckets. Jalen Williams is the guy that kind of stops the momentum.
They were having fun. Lou, did you fix your picture?
I did. How you?
What? Now it looks like you're in trouble somewhere.
You guys okay?
I like it.
In there? Drop my charger.
Yep, drop the charger. Yeah, are you? I don't want to say surprised, maybe impressed by the youth of this team and the fact that no one seems flustered.
Yeah, we were surprised months ago. At this point, they're the real deal. And this OKC team, they're getting a lot of great production from a lot of different guys. Chet, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins. Isaiah Joe only had 6 points last night, but the 2 shots that he made were big. They were at a time where they were up 8 or 9 points. These are momentum plays. These are momentum swings, and they're getting that from guys that are 9th and 10th in their rotations, and that's a huge credit to OKC. You know, I watched one game this year. They played 10 guys in the first quarter. No other team has had a blueprint like that where you'll put 10 guys on the floor in the first quarter. That is an AAU style of play, and it's never worked in the NBA. It's never worked at this level of play until now for the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. So Jalen Williams having the breakout year that he's having, outside of not mentioning the Chets, outside of not mentioning the SGAs. They have 4 or 5 other guys that are making their names. They're becoming household names throughout the run in these playoff runs, in these playoff series. That's just incredible for Oklahoma City and their fan base.
It's also just such a good fit. You got a guy like Chet that's not a natural center that can step out, but he still provides like rim protection and shot blocking. We don't even talk about him anymore just because SGA and Jalen are so good, and he's unbelievable. And then a guy like Lou Dort, he is their version of Jaden McDaniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves, where Ant is so electric. Rudy's the defensive player of the year. So we don't talk about Lou Dort. And he is arguably the most valuable player in this series just because what he's going to do and how difficult he's going to make things on Luka. And Kyrie. When he's not guarding Luka, he's guarding Kyrie.
Yeah, he's there.
He's matching the substitutions based on those 2 guys. So whenever he's on the floor, can you imagine being the guy that every time you're on the floor you have to guard Luka or Kyrie?
No,
and he's going to do it well. Like that's what, he's going to make threes. He's such a valuable piece.
And your name is Lou Dort.
Right. Well, it's not. It's something. His name
like
is.
Lou. Yeah, it's crazy. But Lou Dort is fun. And Lou, by the way, speaking of hot take, your camera's crooked. You can put the picture back up.
Yeah.
The MVP,
well, listen,
it's totally crooked.
I'm not in charge of the camera.
I know. I was like, I realized it as you were talking, and now everyone's going to realize it. The MVP we mentioned is going to be announced tonight. SGA was not aware of that as well. Here he is.
Sure, why not? If I'm at home doing nothing.
Is there a level, like, do you feel any anxiousness for it all? Or, I mean, like, how are you kind of viewing that day, being that you're a finalist?
I didn't know it was tomorrow, but it's cool. I'm excited to see who wins.
So he will maybe watch if he's not doing anything.
He definitely does tomorrow. I can't picture how sweaty he is under that all leather.
By the way, the commitment to keeping the bag on the shoulder
he had the
during
gloves,
that is
he had everything
impressive.
going. But listen, this is why I hate the timing of the voting, because I swear I've been Jokic all year long.
Yep.
And I still am. I have no problem with either of them winning. But after what I'm seeing him do and how I'm seeing the Thunder play, I have no problem with SGA winning this MVP award, which is so crazy how young and this team, when you look at their team, he's 25 years old and he's the leader and everything he provides for this roster. He's so valuable for that team. Yes, they'll be good without him. They still have Jalen Williams, they have Chet, they still win games. They wouldn't be the number 1 seed and they wouldn't be doing what they're doing in the postseason without SGA. So if the voting was today, I don't know who I'd go with because he's been so good in the playoffs.
And they're number 1.
And they're number
top
1.
Seed.
And you know what though, Chandler? That argument is null and void. All 3 of these guys can win MVP. All 3 of them are more than deserving based on the impact that they've had on their teams, based on the impact they've had around the league and fan bases. whoever wins this, I don't think anybody cries that they've been robbed. I think all three of these guys are more than deserving for this award.
It's kind of nice. It's like a feel-good vibe around the MVP this season. Last year, we were all fighting with each other.
Luka would be the one where, like, damn, Luka won it over those two guys.
It'd be a little shocking.
That would be the only one that would be shocking. But if SGA won tonight, I would not be surprised at all. And if Jokic won, I'd be like,
wins.
yeah, it makes sense.
He put it this way. I think he should win unless those who voted were just committed and didn't want to go back and change.
Yeah.
But he should, based on time.
But
right
usually,
now.
it's the voter fatigue. We don't want Jokic to win it again, so why we can't be the opposite now that if he wins it.
It can be anything it wants,
Yeah,
Chandler.
it's
Make
right.
up the rules as we go. There was another game last night, if you want to call it that.
Moo.
Oh, yikes. Cavs at Celtics. Look, if the Cavs get a win, they crushed them. 120-95. Jaylen Brown with 32. Derek White with 25. He was 7 of 12 from the three-point line. Donovan Mitchell finished with 33 points. And again, no Jared Allen, no Kristaps Porzingis, and we'll get to Shams on the Jared Allen of it all in a second. But Jaylen Brown with the 32, he's leading the Celtics in scoring during these playoffs. Let's do this. Pit them against each other. Is he the best player on the team?
No, he's not. Jayson Tatum is, but it's such a luxury to have a guy that can do this. It's kind of similar to the SGA Jalen Williams thing, and Jaylen Brown is obviously even more developed than Jalen Williams right now at this point of their careers. But it's nice having two #1 options on your team.
Yeah.
So it's not like Jayson Tatum played awful last night. Obviously, we're so used to what he's doing and how explosive he can be. But what a relief and what a complimentary piece that you could just have another 6'7" wing that can go do what he does and score in an array of ways. And Jaylen Brown, when he makes his first couple shots and his outside shots falling, it opens up the whole court for him where his athleticism can take over, he can post up, he gets to the rim, and he did that last night. They had absolutely no answers for him. They're not going to have any answers for him this series, and this isn't like a concerning thing for me, like, oh, Jayson Tatum didn't play good, because they didn't need him. They had Derek White go nuts. They had Jaylen Brown go nuts. They had a contribution from Peyton Pritchard. So when I look at the opposite, when your best player doesn't have his best game and you still beat the shit out of a team, it's almost a good thing.
But if those two guys don't have a great game and Tatum still does that, then that whole commercial comes back.
Then you're looking like the Mavs, where everybody played bad, and it's like, all right, that can't happen.
That's
but
not good.
At least other people stepped up and were not Jayson Tatum's best game.
Okay, but can we admit that the lingering playoff Tatum thing is hanging, Lou? Like, there are some people who are sort of waiting to see.
It's a mute argument when you're still in the finals. When you're still at the top of the East, it really doesn't matter about if you're the best player or not. It's about the best team at the end of the day. So we can chop these things up and try to pin these guys against each other. Jaylen Brown has been the best player on the Celtics in the postseason. Derek White has given them everything that they need. So when we talk about the depth of the Boston Celtics, that's why these conversations are important when Jayson Tatum is struggling. And give Jayson Tatum credit. He hadn't been efficient, hadn't been shooting the ball well, but he's still taking 20 attempts. He's not gun shy. He's still putting pressure on defenses. Even when on some of these shots that he's not making, he's requiring a lot of attention on the offensive end. And so that's what you need your team to do. And that's still opening up lanes for the Jaylen Browns and the Whites and the Holidays of the world. If they throw that ball down to Jayson Tatum on the block, you got to honor that. You got to send two guys. That's going to open up the floor. If he's in the ISO at the three-point line, you got to honor that. Your defense has to shift over, and that's leaving other guys open. That's giving other guys opportunity to knock down big shots. So could he be a little bit more efficient? Absolutely. But if this team is still rolling and still winning, it doesn't matter what the stats are. They're still in a good position.
Yeah, think about what Missoula is thinking right now. We just beat the brakes off the Heat, and we haven't even got close to the best version of Jayson Tatum.
True.
So, again, it could be a lot better. It could be more efficient. And I think we're comparing him to all these other young, crazy games that we're seeing with Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards. We're not even talking about the Boston Celtics, who are the most dominant team all year long because they just keep doing their thing, business as usual. They had one little hiccup in Game 2 against the Heat. But the fact that they haven't peaked and they're doing this without Jayson Tatum being great, with Porzingis being hurt, to me is a good thing because the best is yet to come for this team. And you don't want to peak now in the first and second round. You want to be hitting your absolute biggest stride come the finals.
You're so optimistic that it's coming.
And Chandler.
It's coming. They're the best team.
And you know what?
Why am I wearing green?
In a lot of
Why am I
circles,
wearing green today? Ugh.
in a lot of circles, you don't think Jaylen Brown feels like a lot of nights he's the best player on that team?
Sure.
This is what the Boston Celtics need. They're 88 games in. If Jayson Tatum was the best player for 88 games, we'd be like, well, why are the Boston Celtics so strong? Why are they so good? It's because of the Jaylen Browns and the Derek Whites and Drew Holidays. Peyton Pritchard has woke up. He's giving them big minutes now, making timely shots. And so, like Chandler said, like we've all said, this is not a concern. It shouldn't be a concern of the Boston Celtics. It should speak volumes to the depth that you do have on this basketball team.
Yeah.
It's a pretty great place to be. I mean, Derek White during the regular season averaged 15, and he's got almost 23 right now in the playoffs. I'm trying to think of a cute nickname for him. I'm working on that. But it's a nice pop, a nice surprise out of Derek White offensively.
I said it a couple of times. He's the most important, most valuable role player in the NBA. The guy was getting all-star votes and averaging 12, 13 points. It's because everything he does. And last night, they put him positions offensively where he was setting the ball screen, getting it on a throwback, and then he was the primary playmaker. And then the next possession down, he would be handling it and playing like almost like a 1-5 or a 2-4 pick and roll. And they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to guard him. Did they switch? Did they try and show and get back? They blitzed him at a certain point. So like he's so versatile, not to mention how good he is defensively, but offensively what he does, and that's my point. When you have such a thin bench that the Boston Celtics have, they can afford to have a Jayson Tatum have an off night because you have guys like this that just go absolutely nuts. And then you have Drew Holiday that's just been consistent. And so Derek White, to me, yeah, everything he does with his versatility, with his shot making, with his playmaking, he's so valuable to this team.
Maybe like Derek the Dagger or something like that.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe.
Something. Just let me work on it. Shams, Jared Allen once again in street clothes on the bench. I don't know if it's the missing piece, if he's going to change anything in the overall outcome of this series, but can we expect to see him in it at all?
He hasn't been feeling comfortable at all with that rib contusion, and that's an injury where anything you do on the basketball court, you jump, you run, you download, the contact that especially big men have when you're going for rebounds, defensively, offensively, you feel it all the time. And the word I keep hearing is really, a couple words, really uncomfortable. And there hasn't been much optimism that he's going to play last night. And we'll see in the games to come if there is. But listen, I mean, they're already down 1-0. This is a series where, as much as Donovan Mitchell, after Game 7, and they won against Orlando, saying, we didn't just come here to win in 7 games. We didn't just come here to win in one round. Beating Boston in this series, that's going to be a tough hill for them to climb.
Hell of a mountain.
Oh, that's what's hard. It's like before going into this with the whole JB Bickerstaff thing, it's like, what, you're going to fire him once you lose to the Celtics, which everyone knows you're going to lose.
Knows.
Like, it's such an unfair just fight that they're in. But again, Donovan Mitchell's been great. Darius Garland's got to be a little bit better. They have to have such a collective effort where they're getting, they're getting production from every man on that team. They have to be efficient. They have to knock down threes.
It has to be perfect.
Max Strus has got to be better. He can't go 2 for 8. So yeah, it's got to be a balanced attack where everybody's contributing because they're just simply outmanned. They're outleagued in this series.
Even the first quarter was close, and I was like, "Oh, maybe." I don't even know.
I was
kid
watching,
myself.
it was like 12-2 Celtics.
Yeah.
I turned it off. I come back and it's tied up. I'm like, all right, we got.
I was like, oh, we got a game.
We got a dogfight.
We didn't have a game. Time for that. Boop, 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 boop. Scoops with Shams. Okay, so it came down. The punishment has been heard for Jamal Murray and the heating pad that he threw, Shams. But a fine and not a suspension. Why?
Heating pad and a towel, Michelle. So
oh, yeah, that's right.
Objects thrown on the court toward officials. Yeah, but like you said, no suspension, substantial fine, $100,000 fine. I'm told, obviously, when the NBA does their investigation, they interview everyone. I'm told Jamal Murray did show some contrition in that interview, obviously taking acceptance that, yeah, he did throw those objects toward the official, and really it was born out of frustration. The referees, people around the Nuggets, obviously the league, they believe that Jamal Murray didn't show an intent to really hurt anyone, didn't show an intent to throw it at the referees. And even after the game, the referee's message was that they could sense Jamal Murray was frustrated. They didn't sense an intent by his part to hurt anyone. He also, listen, he doesn't have a history of these types of actions. He doesn't have a history in his past as far as obviously throwing anything on the court or doing anything demonstrative toward the officials. So $100,000 fine for Jamal Murray. He will play in Game 3.
If that wasn't his intent, what was his intent? Throwing something
I think it was a tantrum.
I think his emotions obviously just got the best of him, and again, you have to hold him accountable for this because God forbid something happened more serious and someone slipped on that and got really hurt. Now we're looking at a suspension for sure, but since that didn't happen,
got lucky.
And you also you can't suspend.
I think if it was regular season maybe.
Down 2-0, like you can't.
I love it. I love it. The NBA could have easily gave these guys an out, suspend them for Game 3. Now there's your built-in excuse. Now the fans are like, oh, it'd be different if Jamal Murray was playing. It's like, no, you're going to stay here and finish getting your ass whooped, or you're going to walk them down and tie this thing up in Minnesota. One way or another, you're going to be a part of this. So I appreciate the league for doing this. I appreciate the league for not ejecting Coach Mike Malone. You know, I've been seeing a lot of different actions coming from the league office that I haven't seen in the past. So I'm encouraged by
They
that.
are setting the standard, though, because there's going to be a player that's going to do something not as bad as this, and they're going to get suspended. And they're going to be like, oh, where's the consistency?
But not a star, maybe?
Fairness? Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be issues because of this, but I'm with Lou. I agree. This isn't a finable offense. Nothing happened. No one got hurt. The play didn't even stop.
No.
They resumed play. And I think everyone was more confused. I thought it was a ball boy that accidentally did it or something.
No.
I didn't think it was a star
I think his
player on the
teammates were
other
confused
team.
because he threw it off to the side and was like, what?
The whole intent
weird.
thing, I don't like that. Just say, yeah, he messed up, he fucked up, his emotions got too high, he was
The intent
frustrated.
I don't like either.
He definitely tried to throw it.
Because if I
at
shoot a
somebody.
gun in the air, my intent's not to kill someone.
He definitely tried
but-
to throw it. He probably tried to hit the ref, and he didn't.
Because,
So,
honestly, we don't know what the hell his intent was.
I think he just threw a tantrum, like a legit
he
child
literally,
tantrum.
he threw a tantrum.
Like that's
we
what
was having a little
don't know
tiff.
what his intent was.
I am mad at the league for making us wait till Friday for the next game in the series. I do have an issue with that. So maybe what?
I will say the frustration that we're seeing right now from the defending champions. I mean, the fact that Jamal Murray's getting to a point. Yes, he's dealing with a calf injury. It's like a bunch of these events. He's dealing with a calf injury. I think a few plays before that, he felt like there was contact. He should have been given a foul call. And Mike Malone arguing for his player to get a foul call. It's like it's all these events leading to frustration. And at the end of the day, like Lou said, this series hasn't even been close so far.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all compounded by the fact they're getting their butts handed to them.
Yeah. He got good credit. He got Jamal Murray. He got good credit based on how he carries himself. Can you imagine if this was Draymond or LeBron or somebody?
Gone forever.
Possible ban. And don't discredit the Timberwolves either. Like Lou said, like Sean said, that they're getting their ass kicked with him. So don't suspend them and then make this a whole thing like, oh, with Jamal Murray it would have been different.
I like that point.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they didn't suspend him now that you're saying that. Shams, love you, mean it. See you bright and early. Mañana, and we will be back with Cousin Sal talking more hoops when Run It Back, which is there he is.
There he is.
All right. I like that Cowboys.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
That's right. We got a guest. He hosts Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. I'm glad it's named that. It worked out perfectly right here on FanDuel TV because he happens to be named Cousin Sal, Chandler.
Yeah, love that.
Perfectly named. What's up, buddy?
What's happening with you guys? I'm happy to be on this show, and especially because I heard Chandler, boy, curses like a sailor.
He does.
And they let it go, obviously, because it's
Let it
live
rip.
on my show. That's not allowed.
You're
I don't
not
know why.
allowed?
I've talked to my agent.
Why aren't y'all
No.
allowed? Seems like it'd be the same rules.
Listen, if anyone watched the roast the other day, they should know swearing and sports
Glad.
go hand in hand.
I'm
I
glad
actually
you brought
watched
it up.
last night.
You got a lot of, you got some airtime, Sal, because I was like,
you
I
did.
know that guy. So
I did.
What was it like being in the room was a crazy who's who. Every time they would show a shot, I was like, okay. What was it like in the room? Was it awkward ever? Like, how did it feel?
It was great. You know, I demand, I was like, I'm not going to go there unless I get over 2.5 cutaways,
Obviously.
you know, spanning 5 or 6 seconds. So that worked. But yeah, it was, you know, listen, I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm some of the most despicable people on the planet.
Yeah.
But I felt like if you were a Patriots fan, you should have been there. You should have gotten there. You should have done whatever it took because aside from the Super Bowl wins, this was the greatest night in Patriots history. Like, I feel like you got to see Tom Brady in his coolest role ever and Belichick enjoying himself and, you know, and like Gronk letting loose and barely making sense. When are you ever going to see that again? So it really was tremendous.
Well,
Gronk
if you see Gronk right now, you'll probably see that again. Just stop making sense.
Did you have a favorite? I mean, I think we've all talked about it a little bit, like our favorite non-athlete roaster, our favorite athlete roaster. Who was yours?
Well, I'm good friends with Jeff Ross, so he'd be very upset if I didn't say him.
True.
So I'm going to say Nikki Glaser.
She
was
Killed
just
it.
I felt she was just an assassin.
was
Just the
amazing.
way she layers and structures her jokes and just goes right down the line and doesn't miss a beat. She's tremendous. But honestly, I don't think there were only 2 I thought didn't do well. I'll let you fill in the boat. But everyone else had like a great run. Yes, that guy.
I mean, good
He had a
Lord.
mental breakdown, it looked like. Well, in the room, did that feel? Because I'm watching it on my couch alone, and I'm just like, this feels very uncomfortable here. What did the room feel like? Was it fake laughter? What's going on?
I just thought everybody felt it was going to make a turn at some point, and it didn't. He decided to use his 20 minutes to go over after some troll that nobody ever knew, and then left. He just took off backstage, didn't even greet Brady afterwards. It was very strange, and I don't know what that was really. Maybe he hadn't seen a roast before.
That's insane.
Who do we want to see anyone next? Who do we want to see?
Can
next?
anyone handle it? Because I was thinking, could LeBron handle that?
No.
I think that's exactly the way to look at this. I don't think he could. There's certainly various avenues you can go after LeBron for things, but I don't think he could for 2.5 hours could do it. I'm not sure. I mean, right now you got it. Yeah, I guess Kelsey would be the gold standard, right? If you can get Taylor in the room with him. But other than that, I'd love to see maybe Patrick Beverly. He'd be terrific. Honestly.
My God.
Yeah.
He might go nuts.
He might fight.
He had
might
a couple
fight.
of looks. He was uncomfortable a little bit last night. He was uncomfortable a little bit as well, though. He kept drinking out of a cup he had nothing in.
Yeah. I mean, 2.5 hours is a long
Also,
time.
Drew Bledsoe, take a sip of water. His mouth couldn't be more dry.
Bless his heart.
Anyway, Sal, the Monday's Pacers-Knicks games, there was a lot of bad calls, and including the illegal screen on the Miles Turner
Nope, that was a good call,
right here. You can't make that call in that situation, right?
I don't know. I'm in the minority. I say if it's a foul in the fourth quarter, first quarter, it's a foul in the fourth quarter. But I think, and they did review it, they said it was the right call. It's a little ticky-tack, maybe some garden, home cooking. But the one before, the kick ball was just ridiculous. The fact that you can't review a kick ball, and they were out of challenges, and you can't review it, the refs can't review. If you inbound the ball and it hits the hot dog vendor off the forehead, and the ref's no, that's a kick ball. Really, that's just going to stand? That is so NBA to me. Really, reverse that, and we have a whole different game, I think.
Yeah. Or how about when you're out of challenges, but you know that you're right on this call, you just can't review it anymore, just have to just bite the bullet?
Sorry. Sorry.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all.
Got to deal with it. Sal, Jaylen Brunson has absolutely taken over New York City, especially in these postseason playoffs. What's your opinion in this conversation, Jaylen Brunson being the best Knick ever of all time?
Well, it sounds ridiculous because they're not an expansion team that just happened upon us 8 years ago. Knicks have been around forever, so you don't want to discredit Ewing and Willis Reed and Clyde Frazier and those guys. But what he's doing right now, he's first of all, on FanDuel, his over/under for points is 37.5, which is outrageous for anybody. This is a second-round pick. It's crazy that it's 37.5. But I feel if you're 35 or younger, he might be the best Knick anybody's ever seen. I feel he should win a couple more games. Even Carmelo Anthony's whoa, I know you didn't like me, but I made 6 All-Stars with this team. Why am I not even listed in the top 5? So, but Brunson's well on his way. He is really just a typical Knicks, down and dirty type player. It's great.
I love even his entries into the it's just become an entire movement, this Jaylen Brunson thing.
Yeah.
And part of it is also the Josh Hart of it all, it's just a lovable trio of dudes from Villanova. The podcast that those two guys do is amazing. And he plays every single minute, the other night. I'm trying to sit here and think it's almost we've gotten used to it. Could you do 48 minutes of NBA basketball, Sal? Where are we looking at here?
I couldn't talk to you about basketball for 48 minutes. In fact, I'm probably going to leave meeting in about 30 seconds here. I've had enough. No, look, and it's weird because, if you look at the numbers, I think it was 46-3 bench points for the Pacers. But it's that's because the Knicks play hard and play long, and they thrive off of that. I think DiVincenzo, Brunson, and Hart were all between 44 and 48 minutes. So we've not seen anything like this. Maybe Tibbs runs them into the ground eventually, but as long as it's going, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Sal, Celtics just continue to do their thing. Easy win last night. They are now plus 135. Not to win the series, but to sweep the Cavs. Do you think there's a way that the Cavs can make this competitive, or do you think it's a sweep? Do you think they get one? What's your take on that series?
No, I think the Cavs were dumb to come back from 18 or 21 points down from Orlando on Sunday, because this is what we're going to see, a lot of this. And I'm sorry, Michelle, I know you're wearing green for the Celtics.
I don't
know
like
that's
them.
exactly the reason.
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, you're sending the wrong vibes then.
Yes.
But yeah, I had them in 5 at plus 140 before the series started. I mean, these are bad matchups. They're raining threes all over him. Jaylen Brown, Derek the Dagger White, as I like to call him.
That's the
and
nickname we were looking for.
Tatum, like you guys said, not even a good game. Like 0 for 5. Like that's how scary it is. But I think there is going to be a game 3, where they go cold and, you have a potential 50-point scorer in Donovan Mitchell. So that'll be the one Cleveland steals. But I don't know. I'm not as confident that I was.
Just one game, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't. I mean, any of that yesterday. All right, Celtics minus 150. No, I really don't know why I'm wearing this color today, and that's my bad. To win it all, are you taking the Celtics for this thing, or are you taking the field?
I did have the Celtics over Denver a couple months ago. I put that in. But this is the first morning that they're minus odds to win the whole thing. They're minus 120. You get negative odds in them. So, I mean, I don't know. My analysis is basically I thought Denver was one of the toughest to knock out 4 times. We're seeing that might be different. I now think it's the Celtics are the toughest out.
It's crazy. This is all because of how Denver has looked against Minnesota.
100%.
Like if Denver was up 2-0, those odds would not be minus 115 because people fear the Nuggets.
Yeah,
still,
I would have Nuggets.
See it for the Timberwolves. Crazy.
It's insane.
That's
Sal, MVP will be a. I got you, Chandler. No worries.
I was like, wait.
The MVP will be announced later on today. I've had SGA the entirety of this season, so I'm excited because I just want to sound like a genius, like everybody else that has opinions about sports. So, who you got in the MVP race?
Well, this is tough, right? Because we've now seen 2 or 3 weeks of playoffs, and it's tainted our, you might want to go with Luka ahead of time, and that seemed to be the odds-on favorite. But SGA, I don't see. He got votes last year. Like I feel like people think this exists in a vacuum. Like, no, he should win MVP. Like, yeah, you got to see who people are voting for. And so if you didn't get votes last year, it's gonna be tough to climb that mountain and get past the big 3: Jokic, Giannis, and Luka. So I hate that it's an in-season award. I feel like they should wait. Much like college football, let's wait till the end of the bowl season. But I'm gonna give it to Luka. I'm sorry. I know you guys are gonna hate me.
Wow, that's actually shocking. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's Jokic, then SGA, then Luka. But I agree with you. I've said that forever. Why start the voting so early when now? Because now I'm like, damn, Jokic is down 0-2. He's kind of getting exposed with how the Timberwolves are guarding him. Now SGA's been done. So it's now I think they should just wait. And then that's to me the MVP. The MVP wins in the playoffs.
I think it just muddies the water.
But the MVP wins the playoffs. They get to the championship. Like Dirk won the MVP, they lost first round. It doesn't make sense.
Then
to
do
me.
a regular season MVP and a playoff MVP.
Yeah,
and then
I think
the finals
just
MVP.
delay it.
Here's my concern about that. What happens if you got a guy that's in like that 3 or 4 spot that's on the bubble that's having a really good season and he just catches absolute fire the first 2 weeks of the playoffs? Like, then what? Yeah. Like, where do we go from there? Then the water's muddied a little bit and it gets a little confusing. That's my only concern with it. Other than that, I would like for it to go throughout the postseason, but it's going to be some guys on that bubble that's going to make that gray area a little weird.
Yeah, right now it's kind of insane to call it. All right, 6 seasons with the
listen,
Lakers.
we could go back and forth. I'm sorry, but really the in-season tournament MVP is all that matters. And should we wait till the middle of the playoffs to give that award yet? Then it gets crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up, Sal, because I do have a Lakers question for you. 6th season with the team. LeBron, got a title. Lost in the first round a couple times, missed the playoffs a couple times. He's got that player option. We're all trying to figure out, is he leaving? Is he staying? Will he retire? What do you think's about to happen?
Well, I think what's about to happen is our summer is going to be ruined. I hope the 3 of you don't have any kind of plans because LeBron is going to hold us hostage with this announcement like he has before. I mean, he's going to purchase a Metro card and everyone's going to be like, oh, he's going to go to the Nets. And he'll be palling around with Kid Rock. He's like, oh, he's a Piston. Or if he visits Mount Rushmore with the children, he's starting an expansion team in South Dakota. And Shams is going to report on all this. And it's not going to be his fault because this is what LeBron does. But ultimately, I think he stays with the Lakers. By the way, Michelle, you're a big wrestling fan. Shouldn't it be like a gender reveal, but with jerseys? Let's just have a battle royal with NBA jerseys, and whoever wins, that's how he does it.
Something fun.
It'll be August 1st or something, whatever.
August 1st.
Or a possible
Yeah, I
live
know.
television broadcast and take his talents to South Beach.
Oh,
again.
that's true. And give it all to charity.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
could be,
That's right.
That would work too. With the Darvingham firing, obviously we're just all trying to figure out who's the next sucker to walk on down. But could also do something funny here. So in your mind, who would be the funniest hire as the next Lakers coach?
The funniest hire, and by the way, I'm only like 30% kidding here when I say they should make Bronny the head coach. Bronny James should be the head coach because, listen, let's face it, good enough kid, right? He's not a pro. He averaged 5 points a game. I saw him a couple times. I went and saw him live at USC. Let's see how much power LeBron actually wields. Put his son in right at the head coach spot. I mean, he'll get as much or as little playing time as he wants. Maybe a player coach harken to the old days. So that's my pick.
Youngest coach in the league.
Someone said that like a good to the Nuggets, the Celtics should draft Bronny and then not sign LeBron.
Right.
Just to really power play him.
Just be an ass.
Exactly. That's how you build some heat. Yeah.
So I got my own take on this, Sal. But yesterday, Austin Rivers, he says that he could take 30 NBA players, throw them in the NFL, but you can't take 30 NFL players and throw them in the NBA. What's your take on that? Because I'll give you mine afterwards.
My take, I think, is that football gets unfairly blamed for having the bulk of the CTE at a spot. I mean, that's a crazy. I'm sorry, Lou. I don't know if you feel differently, but 30 players. Well, first of all, it's not right because it's a 53-man roster. So just by numbers, it would make sense that an NBA player would make it in the NFL versus the other way. But what position are they playing? Honestly, like I think they would mostly get lit up. I really feel like, we saw like Charlie Ward do it, right, as a point guard for Nick. It would have to be that 6'4" to 6'6" type player because I think anything else would require them to be working on either of the lines, and they would just get demolished. So 30, I'd love to hear his 30. That's an outrageous summation.
My thing is, first of all,
Chandler's obsessed.
Me personally, I would never. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't, the contact.
Wait, tell him your reason.
The contact, the physicality,
No.
playing out.
The weather.
Like, I don't want to play in Lambeau when it's fucking negative 10 degrees. No chance in hell I can do it. Now, I think the discrepancy and the skill that it takes to play basketball, the handling, the dribbling, the step back, the shooting, the touch, that skill is way far ahead of the difference of the toughness and the competitiveness. Now, do I think NBA players are flop and can be soft and are injured all the time? Yes. And can they make it in the NFL probably for one game? Probably not. But all I'm saying is I watched my boy Puka Nacua play in All-Star Weekend. His talent is so far below what it takes, and he's the best. Him and CJ and Micah, those are the best football players that they can play in the NBA. They can't. I don't know if Anthony Edwards could be a corner. I don't know if Zion can play, but I know that they can catch and run and do things physically that NFL players cannot do in the NBA. So
I'm with you. I mean, listen, Russell Westbrook would definitely, if he from grade school on was molded to be a football player, he would be fantastic for sure. But I don't even, and I appreciate the breakdown of the athleticism between sports, and then you see like a Zach Edey try to throw a baseball, and it's like, I don't know, forget it. I don't know what I'm watching. If there was a lefty in the box, he would miss getting hit by 11 feet.
Yeah, I think baseball, hitting like a 95-mile-an-hour slider to me would be harder than like Draymond Green being a tight end in the NFL. I think he can run, catch, that is harder to me.
Yeah, we just poop on baseball just without even mentioning it.
That's I can barely hit a golf ball on the tees.
Yeah,
it's not moving.
Well, you're special. We got a little Convince Me playoff edition, Sal. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios here. First up, convince me in the playoffs that we should not have any fouls called in overtime.
Oh, wow. That's great. No fouls in overtime. All right. I think it's terrific, again, if you're into the pugilistic sports, UFC, WWE, boxing. I think you would just have bench players once you got to overtime, like Dennis Rodman, just send them out to maul their opponents for 5 minutes, and then maybe you get 2 points, you win 2-0, the overtime period out of it. So I don't know. Did I do a good job? I'm not sure.
I like it. And you use pugilistic, which we don't have good words.
This would just end in fights, which I guess would be entertaining for fans.
Mitchell Robinson,
I'm not allowed to say pugilistic on my show. They would bleep it.
You think me and Lou know what pugilistic means? You got another thing coming.
It's like looking down, trying to figure out what it means.
You use it the right way, so I use context clues.
Yeah, you got it. You got the joke. All right, Sal. Convince me that top seed. I actually like this one. Top seeds in each conference should be able to pick their playoff opponent.
Ooh, I love this. So you're saying like the GM or the coach gets involved?
Yeah.
I've long, I fought for this in football too. And then, you would avoid probably the nonsensical jockeying for position where Cleveland starts guys who look like me in game 82 and tanks it to the Hornets for whatever reason. But I feel like this is more exciting than it would actually turn out to be. I think like the Belichicks of the world would actually pick their opponent, but nobody else would want bulletin board material. So the 1 seed would just say whoever's 8, we're going for.
That's a
But
fair
also
point,
it would picture like this year the Eastern Conference, the Celtics, they had to play the Heat or the Sixers that are really good that were just hurt all year long. So wouldn't they rather just pick like, all right, give me the Hawks instead? You should be rewarded. I actually kind of like this.
Well, because didn't Paul Reed say we wanted the Knicks, and then
that didn't
work out very well.
On this show, actually, he said that.
Yeah, he did say it on this show. Actually, good point.
No.
It was perfect. Convince me that the winning team in every series, this is just crazy, should be able to take one player from the losing team as they move on.
I love this. This is great. I'm in a fantasy football league where this is exactly, I think it's called a guillotine league, where whoever, it's top points and whoever has the fewest points in a given week, they lose their roster. So it's a fair game. Everybody else who's still left can get that. I love this idea. Let's do it.
It'd be hard, but I like it.
I don't even know how to convince you.
By the time we get to the finals, it'd basically be an all-star game. But
Yeah.
Could you also imagine if like you knock off Charlotte, you're like, nah, I don't want anybody on that team. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could take a LaMelo card.
We'll take the assistant coach, that guy over there.
Nice.
Yeah. How funny would that be?
I kind of love it. All right, it's called Winning Weekend. Cousin Sal right here on FanDuel TV. Sal, we appreciate the time. Next time, we'll get you in studio.
I'll
3.
do it. I'll make the drive. Great seeing you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Sal. We'll be back with some prop party.
Run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
First.
Yeah, it's time. It's time that Tyrese Halliburton steps up. Wow. The fact that his over is 16.5 and that we've seen this guy explode for multiple big games, he needs to do this. For them to have a chance, he's got to kind of offset Jalen Brunson's production on the other side. So I love Tyrese Halliburton over 16.
It's making me doubt one of my
points.
picks. Damn it.
With that being said, whether he goes over or under, I like the Knicks money line.
Good call. Lou.
Yeah, give me Knicks money line, and I like Josh Hart over 15.5. He's been playing well, shooting it pretty good from 3, attacking the rim. I like 15.5.
Josh Hart's over under is 1 less point than the USA team point guard.
Yeah, it's not right. I got Miles Turner because I didn't trust Tyrese Halliburton, so I think he'll just pick up some of the slack. So over 17.5. Is that the same?
But also you had Miles McBride also.
No, I said Turner. It was first of all, I call Miles
did.
McBride Deuce, number 1. I would never call him
I mess up names all the time. It's cool.
his name is Miles, but no one calls him Miles. They call him Deuce. God, y'all need to start watching these games. And Jaylen Brunson, now I'm starting to worry about that 37.5. He can't do this every night, can he?
He's going under.
No, now I stick with my over. I feel good about it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I know. Y'all don't even know who Deuce is.
Now watch, Miles. Deuce
will have a
18.
career.
He'll have 18. He'll cover by half.
Whoop, NBA playoffs are tipped off. Not too late to get in on the action with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Use your bets on same-game parlays, live bets, championship futures, and so much more. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app, get started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Austin Rivers did the thing you're supposed to do. You said something outlandish, and you went viral.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
But I do agree, and I do listen.
Chandler.
It's two different animals. It's two different. I would never want to play football. I would never even let my son play football. But he ain't wrong.
I can hear your matcha from here, bro.
Starbucks, I am available.
I can hear it from here.
That just looks disgusting.
Who do we got tomorrow on this,
Vince
guys?
Carter on the show tomorrow, y'all.
Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, y'all. Also, in that Wemby commercial.
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.